Welcome back. In next few sessions we'll understand S3. So let's begin. So S3 is a simple storage service which offers an object storage service from AWS. So before we understand the object storage service, let's quickly understand the different storage options we have in AWS or in general. So one is the file storage, where the data is stored as a files in hierarchical folder structure. We mount these file systems to our VMs using NFS or SMB protocol. One of the example of this is shared drive. The shared drive access are on Windows machines, and one of the AWS services which is widely used is Amazon EFS, which offers file storage service. The block storage service, their data stored as fixed size blocks. They get attached to our VM for faster performance. These file systems are managed by the OS itself. So one of the example we can take as database, because database requires some local storage access for giving the faster performance. So Amazon EBS is the AWS service which provides the block storage option. Object storage is the data stored as an object which has file, metadata and unique identifier ID. They get access over API. So some of the example of objects are images, videos, logs. So Amazon S3 is a object storage service. It is massive scalability and higher durability it offers. So it offers around 11 nines of durability. That means data loss is very rare when you use S3, because it is massively scalable and highly durable service. So all objects get stored in a bucket. We need to create a bucket, and under the bucket we have to store an object. So object will have a key which will be used to access the object, and they get stored in a region. So when we used to create bucket earlier, we have to provide a unique name to the bucket. So earlier the bucket name must be a unique across the regions, but recently AWS made a change where you can create a bucket unique to the region. So that's a enhancement they have done to the S3, where you don't need to maintain a unique name across the globe. You need to just maintain a unique name within that region. So which is a definitely a better way of creating an objects, or rather buckets. The maximum object size is 50 TB. So you can upload multiple objects to the bucket. There is no limit, but the maximum object size should be 50 TB. So if it goes beyond 50 TB, you need to split it and send it across. So similarly for the API calls, if you are using a put option to upload a file, it should be maximum 5 GB. If it is more than 5 GB, then you have to upload it as a multi-part upload. And recently AWS made changes where we can mount S3 as a file system to EC2. So earlier EC2 has to access S3 as using the HTTP public endpoint, or we have to create an S3 VPC endpoint to access the S3. But now you can mount the S3 directly as a file system to your EC2 for better performance. So that's an enhancement done by the AWS. So now let's understand the S3 storage classes. So S3 offers different various storage classes. So first one is the S3 standard storage class, which is used for the general purpose storage for frequently accessing the data. Then you have the S3 intelligent tiering. So difference between the two is that in the S3 intelligent tiering, it is mostly a cost optimized service where it automatically put your objects in different storage classes based on their usage, so that you don't end up paying higher cost. So if you have the more usage, if some of your objects are frequently accessed, then they will be put in the frequently accessed bucket, or rather in the storage class, and the less frequent ones can be put into a different storage class to save the cost. And then you have the S3 Express One Zone, which provide access to frequently accessed data. Or the only difference between this and standard is that it is maintained only in one availability zone. So if you see the row number 6, where we talk about availability zone, the S3 standard stores the data in 3 or more availability zone, but S3 Express One Zone stores your objects only in one zone. So it is less available than this S3 standard. Then we have S3 standard infrequent access, which stores the infrequently accessed data, The difference between this one S3 standard is that it offers a lower cost as compared to S3 standard, because this is for the least frequently accessed data, right? Then we have S3 one zone infrequent access, so where the data is stored, the infrequently accessed data is stored in a single availability zone. Then we have the S3 glacier instant retrieval, then S3 glacier flexible retrieval, and S3 glacier deep archive. So they are used for accessing your archival data based on your use cases. So for S3 instance glacier retrieval, it's for use for long lived data that is accessed a few times per year with instant retrieval. So if you want to store data for longer duration but you need a instant retrieval, you can go with the S3 glacier instant retrieval. And the S3 glacier flexible retrieval, it is used for backup and archive data that is rarely accessed and low cost. And the deep archive is the archive the data that is very rarely accessed and very low cost. So if you go from left to right, mostly your cost will go down. But S3 intelligent tiering, as you can see the point number 1 as a star in the bottom, it charges in small monitoring and automation charge, and it has a minimum eligible object size of 128 KB for auto tiering. Okay, so in some of these storage classes there is no cap on the minimum object size. So we saw that the maximum object size is 50 TB, but minimum object size is in some storage classes is 0, but in some storage classes we have to put or maintain a minimum object size. Okay, then we can see the first byte latency, where you can see the latency for different storage classes. Durability is same for all the storage classes. The availability is different for different storage classes. So difference between the two is that availability means accessibility, or when you try to access the S3 objects for 99.99% of the time you can access the object. And durability ensures that data don't get lost. So durability deals with the data loss, and availability deals with the availability of the objects. Then there is a minimum storage charges as well, which is there are no charges for the standard and the intelligent tiering, but there are certain charges for the other storage class, which you can see on the screen. Okay, for an example, for S3 Express one zone, you will be charged for 1 hour. So that means if you put an object over there, anyway, even if you remove the object or delete the object within 1 hour, you will be charged for 1 hour, but that is not the case for the S3 standard. Similarly, there are retrieval charges for the storage classes. So for first two you cannot see any retrieval charges, but if you see the other classes, there are some charges associated, so you need to mind that as well. And then the life cycle transition, where you can transition from one object storage class to another object storage class, it is available for most of them except the S3 Express one zone. Okay, so all this information is already available under the site HTTPS, the one I'm highlighting on my screen. So I just took all this information from this one only. So please you can go through this site and you can get more details on the storage class. So that's it about this session. In the next session we'll do a hands-on. We'll create our bucket, we'll create first object, and we'll see all these features over there. Thank you.